Well, welcome. It's so nice to see you all. Lucella I haven't seen in a year, Ian I haven't seen in 2 years, Don I saw last year, and Ori I only, I think, ever met online. But great you guys are here. We also have Jos who did the talk about the lockpicking and the key stuff, so thank you very much for joining again. We started World CISO Day to help the CISOs a bit in a day of fun, relaxing, don't do too much, learn, be with your peers, beers, pizza. And it all didn't happen because of something bad. So we are doing it now but we hope to do it next year, really big, really live, and let's do something. So for starters, can you guys do a short introduction for the audience? So I will start with, of course, the lady Lucella.
Hi. So my name is Lucella Tempino. I'm a CISO at a Stedin group for quite some years now. Stedin is a Dutch utility company, and to sum up a career of almost 25 years, I once started off as an analytical chemist. I got fascinated by IT and security, and since I can't help myself from meddling in subjects that really intrigue me, well, here I am as a CISO.
Nice.
That's me in a nutshell.
Really cool, thank you. Ian. Oh, we're muted again.
All right. Who next?
Can you hear me again?
Yep.
Cool. Can Ian go
Barely.
next?
Yeah, sure. I can go next. So my name is Ian Amit. I am the Chief Security Officer for Simpress. I consider myself a hacker first and probably a Chief Security Officer second. Most of my career I've spent actually on the offensive side, doing a lot of consulting, red team testing, advising, and these days, after a few years of transition towards the defender side, working at Simpress, managing security of all aspects, both physical as well as information, privacy, legal. On top of that, I'm a board member, advisor to a few startups, and an angel investor. And that's about it.
Cool. Awesome list, man. Thanks. All right. Don.
We can barely hear you, Evan.
Okay, I will ask. But can you go?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name is Don Eindhoven, and I've been in IT for like 22 years now. I used to be an architect before I got into security. Been doing CISO. You called me a serial CISO, which I wasn't sure if that's a compliment or an insult or just a matter of fact. I kind of liked it though, so I'm gonna steal that. But yeah, it's basically what I do. So I go to companies on an interim basis and fill that Chief Information Security Officer role that we're all here to celebrate today. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. I think public speaking. I write sometimes. Run the cyber warfare community that we have an event for tomorrow evening. So busy boy.
Awesome. Thank you. Ori.
Yeah, so Ori Fragman. I'm currently the European CISO for Ahold Delhaize, so located in the Netherlands. Maybe similar to Ian, my background as well comes from the offensive security. I spent a few years in consultancy. Before I joined Ahold Delhaize, I was running a cybersecurity consultancy firm. And my background comes from software development, IT, and later on I decided to take those and equip myself towards the offensive side as well, which I always find fascinating, but I don't do as often as I wish I would.
Yeah.
As well, sitting on a couple of advisory boards and generally like working with startups, just mentoring and see what's ahead of the curve.
Awesome. And then we have Jos here. I'm not sure if you guys can see him. The audience can. So Jos, maybe a very quick introduction for the people who missed your talk.
Okay, well, I'm Jos Weijers. During the daytime, I have a security thing at a vital critical infrastructure in the Netherlands, and when I'm not working, I'm tinkering with logs.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So, I got some questions together. I got some fun questions and some serious questions. So, let's start with a serious one. I think still a lot of people see CISOs as the stopper of the company, which basically also is the enabler. So, question one, also from the audience, what is your daily struggle? It's a broad one. Let's start with Ori.
Yeah, I would say first of all, it's my agenda. That would be my first struggle, to be honest. But then, if we dive maybe a little bit more for content, right? So we're a customer-facing company, so everything that's related to making sure that, especially during the COVID-19 situation, we're available for our customers. We keep the information safe for them as well as the service itself. It's a crucial thing. It's not just another service nowadays, and we talk about food retail. So a lot of awareness, a lot of changes that have been made as to how the teams are operating and how our clients as well, our customers are interacting with us. And maybe the second part of it is more about keeping my team connected. My team is spread it around the globe, and as I can no longer travel and meet with them face to face, and as all of us are working from those tiny rooms of ours for most of the day. And I don't know how about you, but for me, even changing a room at home is quite a refreshing move.
It's a party.
And so a lot of work on the team and how we can basically stay connected, stay synced and alert in this situation.
Yeah. And Ian, same?
I think the daily struggle for me, well, obviously it's schedule again, not surprising, but I think it's mostly balancing, on one hand, the need to cater for my constituents, my internal clients, and make sure that they're well served. At least we at Simpress Security have transformed our organization to a very service-oriented one, so we're treating everyone as customers. So trying to make sure that everyone is indeed catered for and everything that they need is serviced correctly. The good examples from before were transitioning some of our businesses throughout COVID to fully remote, where they did not have the facilitation that other businesses had, like Zero Trust. So getting rid of VPNs and facilitating that. So that's one side of the balance. The other side is obviously the more proactive side. So once the customers are happy, we are always trying to make sure that we're kind of seeing around the curve and expecting what's next. So that side of the equation always needs to be filled in, so we're not getting caught by surprise, which basically means trying to do the impossible, which is shed light on the unknowns, the unknown unknowns. What is it that we have that we might be exposed to that is not known by us right now? What is it that we cannot see, that we cannot monitor, and we do own? So uncovering assets, making sure that we are aware of what's going on in the businesses, what's going on in the industry, attack surfaces, threat actors. And I think that's kind of a typical balancing act for most CISOs these days. In one hand, dealing with what they know of, and on the other hand is trying to make sure that they're ahead of the curve.
Yeah. I see Lucella nodding. Same for you?
Yeah, same for me. It's very recognizable. And I think one of my struggles that the other CISOs will probably recognize as well is trying to be at 1,000 places at the same time, even though it's virtual at the moment. But in our company, we have about 5,000 employees, right? And they are all rushing to innovate, to develop, to use IT, to purchase, to signing contracts. And everything that they do have an impact on the security posture of your company. Now, my team consists of 15 superheroes, but superheroes can only do so much, right? So what I'm trying to do, what my struggle is trying to incorporate security thinking and security acting into everything we do, into every business activity, and try to make dealing with security just as logical as it is for yourself to grab yourself some coffee or tea. And that I think that's the struggle that we are all facing, and I think it's the mission that we have to accomplish.
Yeah, I guess. Jos, you have
Well,
struggles?
tons of it.
Tons of struggles.
Well, I couldn't. I don't have audio feedback, so I can't hear the answers of the rest of the panel. So, in the off chance that I don't do double work, in a CISO function, you have to say no every now and then.
Yeah.
That is true, and that's also the typical thing that people think about. And you keep on hitting the brakes in the business perspective. And what I normally say is, yes, we do hit the brakes every now and then. But if you know your car has very, very, very good brakes and you know how to brake hard, you dare to drive harder. So if you really want to move your business along, you actually want brakes, and you want to test them every now and then.
So basically say, make sure you have good brakes and then drive faster.
Yes. So then you can take the actual corners in a way that you actually want to take the corners.
Yep. Cool, thanks. All right, Don, I'm gonna start with you for the new question. Be ready. Do you see any change in your job in the past years? And then maybe even pre-corona, corona.
Well, I mean, of course, Corona turned everything on its head. I think many companies are finally have been pushed into finally accepting that working from home actually does work, and that it doesn't automatically mean that people will stop doing what they have to do. That's been a long time coming. I mean, working from home was an ability years ago, and now that companies are forced into letting people do that. You run into all kinds of interesting stuff doing that. Securing the internet connections of users at home, having your remote security controls working and functioning and being updated, and getting people to do what they should is, in my opinion, so far has been significantly easier than it was, because you used to have this dichotomy of the things you don't do at home because it's not secure, you also shouldn't do at work, and now those two have merged, kind of. So I've been able to use this situation into making that more clear for the people that we serve. That insecure behavior is insecure behavior everywhere. So that has actually helped. So yeah, that definitely changed. For me personally, I mean, my day has become completely different, because I used to have the really long commutes of at least an hour per drive, like an hour and a half. So that saves me 2 or 3 hours a day, which I find I work more, so I'm more productive, more effective during the day. I'm also able to spend my day in a much different set of topics. So that really helps. Sure, that's not the answer you were looking for, but
it's an answer.
so yeah, Corona helped that. I think the security industry as a whole has not changed as much. I mean, let's be honest. We now see security controls that we would kill for 10 years ago. So there's that. That definitely helps. And I think the interesting thing that we're seeing here is that security is slowly moving away from being a multi-mastery field to a more automated and less expertise demanding field, in the same way that IT as a whole has done that over the last 10, 20 years. So that's good, I think. it requires less skill of the people involved, but that's good because being secure becomes easier. And yeah, I think we should feel our blessings there. Yeah.
Yeah, I see everybody nodding. Is it the same also in the rest of the company? I mean, are budgets cut or are budgets going up in this period? You check now. Go on here.
You want me to answer that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, for me, it really depends on what company I work for at the time. I usually have one major client at a time, and what I find is that those that have a more those that are more on the budget as a whole tend to cut security as a cost rather early in the game, which I don't obviously necessarily agree with. Larger institutions that generally have a more compliance-driven mindset, and, it's more embedded in their budget. It's more spread out. More parties pick up the tab for their parts of the overall security tasks set. So I think it really depends on the company that you work for, and in that regard, it's nothing special, really, nothing new.
Okay. Ian, I was going to you. Same for you.
Yeah, I can probably attest that from my perspective, the budgets haven't really changed over the past year or so. So even throughout the pandemic, we didn't see a dip or an increase to a significant degree in the budget. I do have to prefix that with the fact that I try to keep a fairly balanced budget that is aligned with the business itself. So we have a lot of different metrics for how the business is growing, and we're attaching our budget to overall innovation, expansion, sales, competition. So we're fairly balanced. We did not have an issue with transitioning or supporting the transition of our different businesses throughout the pandemic. So budget wasn't really an issue. The only interesting thing about the budget that I can probably comment on is that when it gets to other executive management like the board or CEO and CFO and stuff like that, they like to see, they kind of harp on some of the successes that we've seen, and they've actually kind of championed increase in budget to get more testing, to get more closed loop feedback. Because again, I think those activities really align with what the business is doing. And as long as they can see how security is supporting the business to a degree, they want more of that, even if it costs a little more premium. So with that, I've kind of seen kind of a very positive feedback to the work that we've been doing through proper communication and executive support and reporting to the board. And that, again, inadvertently, we didn't even ask for it, increased our budget slightly because they wanted some more of those kind of checkpoints to see, another red team, another pen test, another review, just to make sure that whatever we're doing in terms of innovation and trying to be aggressive in the market is indeed being supported with the safety net of security. And even when we're challenging the businesses from an adversarial standpoint, we can still show that, yes, we're catching this, we're remediating that, we're responding correctly.
Nice. Ori, same?
I would agree with that. I think that if I look at it in the last couple of years, at least the trend that I saw, and it's not in particular just where I am now, because before I was working also with different industries, I think there is a more recognition, right, of the impact and importance of security. So I think in a way what shifted, at least from my perspective, and of course, I'll put an asterisk next to it because it really depends on, the different people that are driving it in the different companies and the different sectors. But in general, there is more understanding that the CISO role is more of a business role as well, and not only an IT or technical role. And so I think that's the trend that I see, the shift more. Everyone says shift to the left, but I just see like a shift really of that CISO role being much more recognized on the business level, on what you can do not only from the auditing perspective or compliance, but how you can drive the business. Whether there are some things that you can do to actually drive with innovation that even can set you as basically exceptional even in your sector, but as well as in terms of the value that you bring to the business itself. And so there is much more recognition from supervisory boards, from executives in the company, as well as just the different stakeholders that we work with on a daily basis. I think there is far more understanding, maybe thankfully for the events that are happening all around us and the fact that the media is also giving it the attention, but there is far more, I think, understanding and recognition of why it is important.
So basically good things. Nice. So Lucella, to go on with that, if you look at the role, when I hear this, the role is going up, basically, getting better views. What is the biggest win you think you had in your company, or the biggest win for CISOs in general?
I think for me the biggest win was board attention. I think it's no longer that security is just a mission impossible for one or two IT experts. It's really a business risk, and business has embraced that risk as well. And every single board member at our company has some role in the security process. And I think also, and it might sound a bit strange, but I think the government attention that we are getting helps a lot as well. So we do need to keep communicating with them and making sure that if they come up with new legislation, that it is legislation that really protects society and not become the hazard itself. By, for instance, imposing technical measures on our SCADA systems or something like that, because then they will become the risk. But I think the biggest win is that business owners have embraced the security risk as their risk.
Yeah, cool.
And that makes life of a CISO a whole lot easier.
And for you, Jos?
Well, I think
biggest win.
What, in the last years?
Yeah.
Well, it used to be that cybersecurity, if you're in a CISO role, you had to really struggle to get it on the agenda. Mm-hmm. And I believe that has changed in the past years.
Yep.
And that's also because of media attention and stuff like that. So now all of a sudden, C personnel comes up to you, is like, what are we doing about XYZ? Because that's something they heard or saw a tweet or whatever. And it used to be the magicians doing this cybersecurity voodoo stuff and every now they come up and you have to patch, and now it's almost every now and then it's the other way around, that C-suite personnel comes to you with what are we doing about these things. So attention-wise, getting board attention is definitely getting better. I mean, in my company, I never had any complaints on that field, but it's getting easier. Yeah.
Cool. And if you look at this, and I think we all see it, all of us are basically working at big companies, right?
Yeah.
So that means security maturity is relatively high compared to the smaller ones. Correct?
True. Yeah.
So, stupid question. Do you play golf?
That's actually a hard question. In the Netherlands, you have to be licensed in order to play golf, which is stupid. And yes, I do have a license. I'm allowed to play golf. But a couple of years ago, they started putting your handicap on the actual card.
Yeah.
Which is a bad thing.
Okay.
I'm close to needing 3 digits now. So
is there a 3-digit handicap?
No, it doesn't. But they kept on wanting that, and it's not good.
No, but I'm questioning it. Ori, are you playing golf?
I only recently started, so I wouldn't say playing golf, but I'm trying to.
Nice.
It's probably the most accurate thing to say.
Nice.
So I've just recently started.
Cool. Don? No? Yes?
I do not play golf. And
Okay.
I've actually had a casual, interesting gig in there, and then I saw all those obstacles that Jos just mentioned, having to go a license and having like a whole driving license kind of test thingy. And like, yeah, not for me. I don't have the patience to go through all of that and just end up with a stick in my hand.
And Ian, are you playing golf?
No, thank you. I did try it out for a period back in 2000 and I don't know, 2, 3, something like that. When I lived in the U.S. And there's a couple of golf courses next to my house, but never caught up.
Oh, because I was thinking, it's like relaxing for CISO to play golf, and it's also about security and maturity. You get better.
Relaxing. I don't know what you're talking about.
I did mention golf with my kids, and it was not relaxing. In fact, the steam was coming off my head. So, yeah, never again.
Never again. That's bad. Okay, well, since you mentioned the States, there was a question that the impression was that in the US, and I'm going to ask this to Ian, the CISOs are much more together on stuff. That companies from one company, the CISOs talk to each other regularly, have meetings, dinners, etc. And that in Europe, that is basically less. I mean, we have some CISO small groups depending on the business together, but not large in general. Is that really a fact in the US?
I believe that's the case, yes. I mean, I can attest for the US, not for Europe. There's definitely a lot of activities, social activities, and semi-social and sponsored activities that are directly catered for CISOs, ranging from the very commercial that are fully sponsored and vendor supported, all the way through the more community-oriented ones. And again, full disclosure, I'm also running one of those. It's called the CISO track that we have been running in the past couple of years alongside major conferences to cater for CISOs to be able to sit down together and hash things out in a professional, non-biased, non-commercial manner. But there's definitely, first of all, there is many more of those, and as much as there's a lot of those, there's still a thirst and there's still a need for more, I think. So that's as far as the US. I can't really attest to what's going on in
Well,
Europe.
we can ask Lucella. Lucella, how is it in Europe from your point of view?
I think within industry sectors, we do have CISO networks. The CISO network of the energy sector, for instance, is very strong. We all know each other. I think there are a lot of companies who are trying to target CISOs to come to their event and share knowledge. But surprisingly, I don't meet a lot of CISOs there. You meet all sorts of people, which is great as well. But for some reason, they don't seem to convince the CISOs to go there. So, yeah. I think we could and should do better there.
Yeah, we should definitely try to build something, because what do you meet? Probably salespeople over there, right? Yeah.
I wanted to say that, yes.
Yeah, and if you don't meet them there, you will definitely hear from them the months following the events.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of problems with that, because they are trying to earn their money just as we are. So I'm not bothered too much with that. But I think it results in the kind of topics that they are sharing. I think if you are new to the field, then those commercial events can have great value to start learning and start scanning what the work is all about. But if you really want to learn from CISOs and discuss each other's struggles or learn from each other what did work, what didn't work, then those events are less useful.
Yeah. So we touch sales. I love this. What's your thought on sales, Jos? Salespeople, because I know you have a story, right?
Yeah, let's not.
No?
That's a long story. How much time do we have?
I don't know how much time we have.
One. Yeah, at some point. We gate crashed a party that we
Yes.
absolutely were not supposed to be at, which was good, and it was all organized very good. But some people quite early on figured out who we were, and apparently that was not a reason to kick us out at all. So at some point we were basically stalked. Well, I was basically stalked by a sales guy, and
He spoke some magic words.
yeah. How do you translate that with the same creepiness? Well, I'll do it in Dutch. Ik ben heel erg verliefd op jouw bedrijf.
Yeah, it was something like, I'm totally so much in love with your company.
Yeah.
Can I give you my card?
Yeah, and he approached me from behind, and it was really awkward. It's like, yeah, that's. I'm pretty sure that in a bar that's a bad opening sentence, and sales-wise, it should make the top 10 at least. That was a bad thing.
All right. Okay, another question I got from the audience, and I really like this one. And I know, because I know Lucella, she's been staying in where she works for quite a long time, but Don obviously isn't. And the question is from the audience, why do you guys job hop so much?
Oh, other than compensating for a shit personality? Yeah.
Don't hold back, Don.
Go!
Listen, I cost a lot of money. You can only charge that for so long until someone gets pissed off. And no, I mean, for me, honestly, I didn't really realize what I was getting into. As I mentioned previously, I was an infrastructure architect, so I did some security architecting as well before I became a CISO. And those are generally positions that they don't hurry to replace with a permanent position. So you can do projects for like 1 or 2 years, sometimes even longer. But when you are doing an interim CISO position, they are generally already looking for someone to take that position permanently. So to permanently replace you. So you have like 6 or 7 months. And then generally they found someone that fits and is not insane. And I mentioned this specifically because one of the larger clients I had recently or earlier this year, they had all the bad luck of people that responded to this job. And like we had serious nutcases sitting on our table, spouting off conspiracy theories. And they were aiming for that CISO job. I'm like, where did these people come from? Because I only know people like you, right, in this panel. They're all reasonably sane. Well, maybe not always. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's I didn't expect to have such job hopping experiences in these last few years, but I've come to really enjoy it because you see a lot of different companies. You learn to discern what is universal and what isn't, so that you can focus on what makes that company different in this like 20% from the rest of all the companies and organizations that you've worked for. I thought that was really, I find that really enjoyable. And you know, you wouldn't say so, but I actually am a people person. So, you know, getting to know more people and, you know, meeting new ones, finding what makes them tick and how their organization works, it's kind of like puzzle solving for me. So that's why I do it. I don't know about the rest of you. But.
Well, is there anybody job hopping from you guys?
Officially.
No? Oh, all steady.
Players, all of them.
All steady. You're also steady, right?
I've been at the company for 12 years now, so.
For 12 years.
I guess the question doesn't apply to me.
Okay. Oh, I'm losing my ear again. So I think we still got 10 minutes spare, something like that.
I have a question from the audience.
Oh, another question for the audience. Yeah, go.
If you can choose only one, what is the best character for a successful CISO? 1, a techie. 2, communicator. 3, hacker. 4, policy/governance. Or 5, business person.
Whoa, that's a long question. I see a 5. No, I see a 3. What is a 3?
Hacker.
Hacker. Okay, I see another 3. Hacker.
It's basically a communicator or a hacker. You should have a person who can do both. So 2 and 3. That's my opinion.
Okay, I see Ori nodding. Lucella is still in doubt.
Well, we're all in doubt.
No, I think it's. I think you have to be a listener. You have to be able to blend in, to connect the dots, so to say. Listen and understand, and I think you have to be everything. You have to be strict, you have to be kind, you have to be rigid sometimes, you have to be a coach, you have to be everything, I think.
Do you
I think
still hack?
I think that's one of our problems. We have to be everything.
Yeah, but do you still hack, Lucella, or?
No.
No. I talked to Ori. I know from Ori that he doesn't have time to hack anymore.
Yeah, and unfortunately, maybe just once in a very long while, like could be that I find something that really bugs me, to be honest, when I see it, and it's like, yeah, I've got to check it, right? And that would be it sometimes, but yeah, not as often as I used to, that's for sure.
Yeah, breaking. We miss breaking. Ian, do you do breaking much?
Not as often as I used to. No, I still get excited by the occasional lock or application that needs to be taught security a little bit. But for me, if we go back to the question, a hacker is basically encompassing everything here. I find myself hacking through policy. I find myself hacking through politics of the organization. Going back to that listening and being able to be, hard sometimes and soft and work with people. That's all hacking in my book, and it also translates to technical. How do you bypass this? How do you hack your budget? So that's a cop-out answer from my end.
No,
Well, in that definition, I hack 24/7.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for that.
fixed. You
I'm
hack
going to
all
use
the
it,
time.
thanks.
Nice. All right. So let's do one final question. And I will start with Jos, so you have his answer, and then from there we can take it. Jos, can you help other CISOs out there with a brilliant tip?
Yes, of course I can.
Okay.
I would give a tip not just for CISO, but for life in general.
Okay.
Don't take it so seriously.
Don't take it so seriously.
Yeah,
But that's difficult for CISOs.
I
sometimes,
know,
guess.
but that's why they need help with that.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's one. Let's go to Ori. Your tip.
Yeah, for sure it's not brilliant, that I can promise you, but I'll give it a go. So it might sound, I don't know, generic or obvious, but I would say I give a lot of emphasis into learning your business, learning your environment. I think that what makes this role as well very interesting when you job hop, or when you change roles, right, is that the environment completely changes, your industry maybe changes as well. And so I think that's at least my tip in that sense is really learn very well how your company is operating, how it's in the micro, in the macro as well, and then probably build your strategy, build your plan and roadmap according to that. I think that's the best way to bring back value to the company, the shareholders, and so on.
Cool. Thank you. Don?
Well, I mean, from a profession perspective, I would say, I agree with Ori, that you need to, and Luisa mentioned this as well, learning to see how a company thinks and what drives their decision, how they prioritize and what's important to them. I think that's crucial in our position, because in the end we do serve. We do serve the company and or the organization that we work for. So that's definitely the very first skill that you should always keep developing. And for me personally, I've been just reading more. Just keep developing yourself and be broad. Right now I'm in Greek philosophers up to my ears in that. Stuff I've never thought I'd ever touch, but I found it, very helpful. And so self-development and in all areas, keeps your mind flexible. Keep that learning mindset. That, I think, is the best thing you can do to yourself in any respect, in any job.
Thank you. Lucella.
Yeah, I agree with what has been said. I think the key to success is being able to walk the walk and talk the talk. And I also agree with Jos, and we should give ourselves and our peers a break sometimes, because we are not all superheroes, we are not perfect. And within the definition of Ian, just try to be a better hacker today than you were yesterday. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, finally, Ian. Your great, brilliant tip for humanity.
I've almost got nothing else to add. I mean, other than chiming again on the learning part. Keep finding stuff that's that you've never dealt with before. Keep learning. Never assume that. I call myself a practitioner, not a professional. It's always trying to get to that professional level. So keep finding areas that you haven't dealt with before. It could be finance, it could be Greek philosophy, it could be risk management, it could be lockpicking.
It could be golf.
It could be golf, sure, if you're licensed to do that. And on top of that, don't be afraid to fail. I mean, and it goes back to Jos's comment of don't take yourself too seriously. Always, be brave enough to make that first step. Know that you're going to fail the first time. Know that you're going to fail the second time. Be able, be in the right mindset to learn, to iterate, to fail, to learn from those mistakes. Probably the best learnings I've had in my career were based on failures, not on successes.
Cool.
May I just add one other thing?
Sure.
Because I think that we hear a lot about how tough a CISO job can be or is. But to be honest, I think we have probably the greatest job in the world. So have fun and enjoy the ride.
Well, that's certainly what we do. And I think that's certainly what you brought to everybody watching. I think this is the start of World CISO Day. We just tried it. We couldn't organize something big, but this is what we got. I think it was basically an awesome afternoon. I hope we inspired some people, and I want to thank you very, very much for all your efforts. And I hope to see you again next year when we try to get it bigger and get more companies involved. I mean, Ian CISO Track is involved. We got Schubert Philips involved. If we can spin this and maybe grow this to something big and really make an awesome day to say thanks to the CISOs, just one day a year, let's strive to go for that. Thank you very much, my lady and guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.